He was a husband, a father, and a police officer, a man sworn to protect his community. But for nearly 20 years, Mikhail Popkov was also Russia's most prolific serial killer in modern history. Today, we're diving into the absolutely chilling story of how a monster hid behind a badge and how he was finally unmasked.
So let me ask you this. Who is Russia's most prolific serial killer? Now, if you thought of names like Andrei Chikatilo, you're definitely not alone. But the real answer? It's far more disturbing. It's a man who killed more people, for a longer time, all while hiding in the most unimaginable place.
And this is him, Mikhail Popkov. To his friends, his family, his colleagues, he was just a regular guy, a dedicated cop and a family man. But behind that totally normal facade, he was a brutal predator, operating for nearly 2 decades with, well, complete impunity.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Our story really kicks off back in the 1990s, in the industrial Siberian city of Angarsk. While Russia itself was going through these huge political changes, a very different kind of shadow, a shadow of pure terror, was falling over the city's streets.
For years and years, a whole series of savage murders of women left the police completely baffled and the public just gripped by fear. As the media tried to wrap their heads around the horror, 2 really chilling nicknames started to emerge for this phantom killer.
First, he was called the Werewolf. That name really captures the sheer brutality, the mutilation they were finding at the crime scenes. He was also called the Angarsk Maniac, which of course tied his reign of terror directly to the city he was haunting.
But the most shocking part of this whole story wasn't just the crimes themselves. No, it was the identity of the killer, a revelation that was just the ultimate betrayal of public trust.
The monster who is haunting Angarsk, he wasn't some shadowy outsider. He was one of them. He was a serving police officer, hiding not in the shadows, but right there in plain sight, completely shielded by his own uniform.
And Popkov, he weaponized his authority with just chilling precision. He'd be out patrolling at night in his police car, and he would target women he judged as immoral, often for something as simple as being out late. He'd offer a ride, and his uniform, which should be a symbol of safety, became the perfect lure. And in his own confessions, you really get a sense of how he rationalized all this. He framed his actions as this twisted moral crusade. He actually claimed he was a cleanser, guided by his inner convictions, to purge the streets of women he decided were immoral. So, how on earth did this killer manage to hide in plain sight for 2 decades? While the hunt to unmask him would become one of the longest and most frustrating in modern Russian history.
Think about it. The investigation spanned from the early 90s all the way to 2012. The police knew they were hunting a single person, but for years, every single lead just went cold. It was like they were chasing a ghost who was always one step ahead.
The cold case finally started to thaw thanks to 2 key clues. First, they found tire tracks from a specific off-road vehicle, a Lada 4x4, at multiple crime scenes. But the real game-changer was DNA. In 2012, investigators launched this unprecedented DNA sweep of thousands of current and former police officers. And then, after 20 years of searching, they finally got a match.
Podkov's arrest in 2012 was obviously a massive victory for law enforcement, but nobody could have predicted the true, horrifying scale of his crimes that was about to be revealed.
So, when Popkov was first convicted back in 2015, it was for 22 murders. And that alone is a shocking number, more than enough to earn him a life sentence. But investigators quickly realized that was just the tip of the iceberg. From behind bars, Popkov just started talking. He calmly offered to lead them to more bodies. The number just climbed relentlessly. First by another 59, confessing to killings the police hadn't even connected to him yet. Until the final, just staggering tally reached 83 confessed victims. It revealed the true, unimaginable scale of his 2-decade-long rampage. And with these relentless confessions, he cemented his place in history for the most horrifying of reasons. He officially became the deadliest serial murderer in the history of modern Russia.
To really grasp the scale of his crimes, just look at this comparison. Popkov's confessed total of 83 victims officially makes him Russia's deadliest killer. He surpassed even the infamous Andrei Chikatilo, the butcher of Rostov, and Alexander Pichushkin, the chessboard killer. It's just mind-boggling.
And the legal system responded to this cascade of confessions with a cascade of sentences. A life sentence in 2015. That was followed by a second life sentence in 2018, with even more prison time added in later years. The doors of his cell were locked, and then locked again and again for good.
And that, right there, is the most terrifying truth of this case. The monster wasn't some shadowy figure from a horror movie. He was a policeman, a neighbor, a father, hiding a life of unimaginable evil in the most ordinary of places, just right there in plain sight.
The case of Mikhail Popkov really leaves us with one final, deeply unsettling question. How does such profound evil hide in plain sight for so long? It forces you to kind of look at the world around you and wonder about the masks people wear and what truly lies behind them.